Highlight beams, it's Tai Semi, and I am back with another blog post. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. The few of you that are watching, I really appreciate it and I'm paying attention. So thank you so much for the support. Like I said, this is a new thing for me, so it's very nerve-wracking putting myself out there like this. So I appreciate literally every single view. So yeah, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and you can chat with me in the comments. So I'm just gonna jump right into it, and this is the look of the week. I was listening to Fire and Desire, and it was just speaking to me. It was giving. So that's kind of the vibe that I was channeling, this fire and desire, this, orange and red. I used Glow Pigment Redemption, which I haven't used in a very long time. So people who don't know me personally, I'm a very, when it comes to my makeup, when I start doing something, I'll do the same thing over and over and over again, because doing makeup on myself wasn't an art form for me for a long time, because I was an artist and I really enjoyed it more on other people. So on myself, I would just do the same things over and over and over again. And then I'd go into a new phase and a new color or a new color scheme, and I would do that same thing over and over again. So I'm trying to break out of that habit, and this is kind of forcing me to do that. So I haven't used, I just got into another phase and I hadn't been using Redemption in a long time, but she's back. So this is the look of the week. Using Glow Pigment Redemption, I of course use Glow Pigment Messiah as my base, and I'm wearing Dream Lash Candy Cane. So this is the look of the week. As always, I will have this look. I made a video and I'll have this look posted on our Instagram. So if you don't follow our Instagram, please go do that and check it out. Within the week, I will post the how-to video on how to achieve this look. So to jump into the topic for today. So guys, today the topic was difficult. Wait, actually, before I do that, I'm sipping on some, it's really just seltzer water with a splash of fruit juice. But I'm using our wine glass flower bomb today. I'm gonna try to do a new glass every week. Don't hold me up to that, because I don't know, but flower bomb. And yes, so for those of you who have supported the wine glasses and the Tai-Lite home new venture, thank you so much for that. Again, it was very, nerve-wracking for me, and I kind of just been posting about it and just getting offline, because I'm anxious about it, and just anxious about how people are going to receive it, anxious about if people care, the typical anxieties that come with social media. So if you had supported it, if you've had made a purchase, just thank you guys so much. It really, really means a lot to me. And just let me know how you're feeling about it, because this is definitely a new thing for me. But I wanted to bring one today. So cute. I've been making them made to order. So I was going to use Love Story, which is the glass that has the roses on it. If you guys haven't checked out, I will link down below so you can see all 6 of our designs. But I had to ship those off today, so I don't even have any Love Stories left. So I'm using Flower Bomb. But okay, back to the topic. So what do you do when you wake up one morning and you're no longer who you used to be? I had that experience. It was over a course of months, but I suddenly, like I said in another video, I stopped calling it a depression and called it a spiritual awakening. But I suddenly woke up one day and I'm just not who I used to be. And I want to talk about, that feeling, because I think it's romanticized a lot. When we hear about it, in media and stuff like that, it's all love and roses when it happens. And there's a lot of shedding that goes along with that. And, I just wanted to kind of just talk about what that feels like. And, again, to affirm anyone out there who may be going through that and kind of, let you know that you are not the only one. So to answer my own question, what do you do when you wake up one morning and you're no longer who you used to be? To be honest, the first thing I did was panic. Panic, because I'm like, did I ever know myself? Or, I'm like, who am I? Did I ever know myself? Have I been living a delusion? What's going on with me? Am I dying? There was a lot of things going through my head when I started realizing that I'm actually not who I used to be anymore. And so that was the thing I actually did. But the thing I'm advising for us to do is to let go. And I'm going to talk about a variety of different topics and letting go of those things and letting go in different ways, because it's something that is extremely hard for me to do. Like I said, once I like something, like, you know what I mean? Even a makeup look, once I like it, I kind of just do it. Like, because I'm so indecisive and I'll have so many options running in my head, it's easier for me to just do the thing that I like so I don't have to keep thinking about it. So that's kind of how my brain has worked in, previous seasons. But what served me in those previous seasons no longer serve me because I'm not the same person. So it was very difficult. It is very difficult to wake up and you're not who you used to be. So letting go is the overall advice that I would have, and like the overall thing that I'm talking about, and letting go in multiple areas of your life. Like I had to let go of who I used to be. I had to let it go and understand, like, hey, Tai, you're not that girl anymore. Like, you're not her. Like, you know what I mean? You're not her. So you have to let go of the idea of who you used to be. And that is very hard because who you used to be is all you know. So I'm like, well, if I'm letting go of who I used to be, who am I? You know what I mean? Like I said, I think I said this in the journey to the first video, but I always felt like a misfit. I don't think there hasn't been a single community that I've been a part of that I felt like I fit. I always felt like an outcast. Like I always felt like, I'm looking the part, but I'm not. You know what I mean? I'm not. I just don't fit. Like I never fit in. I felt like growing up in my community, even with my minority friends, I definitely didn't feel like I fit. There was always something different about me. I was always more emotional. I was always more, I just always had a different vibe. Like I just was always different. I was always, and they loved me. I'm not going to say like I didn't have people who loved me. They did, but I was different. I was someone who was really in touch with their emotions at a very early age and felt like it was very wrong to feel that way because the company that I was around didn't feel like that. Definitely felt like a misfit in college when I was at FIT because, I was like, oh, I was always a fashion kid, so I'm going to fit in here. But it was like, oh no, these are like, I was a fashion kid in the sense was being fly and having style was my defense mechanism. Like you may be able to beat me, but you're not going to beat this outfit. Like that's kind of that's where my love for fashion came from. It wasn't from, but the kids who went to FIT, it was more like, oh, they was in those magazines. Like they know every designer, they're into like, they know brands, they're into brands. And I've never been a brand girl. Like I've never been someone who was like, oh, like, I never been someone who was into brands or knew the brands. I've never been in the know. Still to this day, I don't know nothing about nothing. I just had to accept it. I don't know jack diddly squat about nothing. Like people be like, oh, did you see the new, this brand just dropped the new? I'm like, absolutely not. I did not see it. I don't know the brand. I'm sorry to this man. I don't know who this is. Like, so clearly I didn't fit in there. I didn't know no brands. Like these 18-year-olds was wearing designer. I'm like, so definitely didn't fit in there. When I got into the fashion industry, working as a makeup artist, I feel like that was like the closest to fitting in I was ever, but it was still an illusion. I still definitely didn't fit. I definitely wasn't up with the times in terms of like what the people were doing. Like, you know what I mean? In the way I still had a very old school way of like viewing relationships. I'm trying to say things without saying things. But, I just still didn't fit in that environment either. Now what's crazy is like, okay, now you're completely isolated and it's just you. Now you don't even fit in with you because you're not the person you were 3 months ago or 2 weeks ago. So I'm like, well, damn, when am I ever going to fit? I mean, I fit with God, but that's another story, another day. So, I had to go through a series of letting that go. Like, I have to let go of this idea that I have of myself. Like, I had to let go of, like, another thing too. I was actually chatting with one of my friends yesterday about this realization that I had, because I spent my whole life, it's like, when you're young in your early 20s, like, you really think like you know everything. And not that I thought I knew everything, because I've always been, mature, and I've had a sense of emotional maturity. I'm gonna take me a little sip. I always had a sense of, emotional maturity, but I really thought like, oh, well, I don't need to, like, kind of one of my defense mechanisms for not fitting in was like, well, I've already made friends in my younger years and they're still my friends. Like, I still have my day ones from when I was in school, so I don't need friends. Using that more as a defense mechanism, and I carried that for so long. And this is so obvious, but I was chatting with this older guy, and I was saying that, like, I was saying this whole, like, the mantras, the recording I have been saying to myself for years and years and years. And I was like, well, yeah, I just feel like I'm too old for friends. Like, you know what I mean? People don't have, like, and I always used to say, like, how many friends your mama got? Like, that used to be the thing I would ask people, like, how many friends your mama got? They'd be like, none, one. Because, I'm like, yeah, friends is like, once you get a certain age, you're too old for friends. And my mom used to always say, Haitian, anyone who's Haitian watching this already knows what friends gonna do for you. We had this, my mom used to say this saying in Creole, but it pretty much was saying, what are friends gonna do for you? She would always tell me that if I wanted to hang out with my friend, I remember I think me and one of my best friends growing up got into a fight and I was crying. I'm an emotional little bug. So, and she was like, are you crying? Like, over your friends? Like, what are your friends gonna do for you? Like, she would always have that. And the woman thought I was gay. She thought me and my friend were in a relationship because I was crying over our friendship. That's how much the Haitian tradition, the Haitian old school mindset don't believe in the importance of a friendship and a sisterhood. That is going to be another topic another day. I definitely do want to talk about sisterhood and womanhood. But yeah, so it's like, I've always kind of been like, crucified for my emotional reactions to my friends. And so yeah, I was doing the same old thing that I always say about friendships. And the guy was like, why do you think that? He was like, what are you talking about? Like, you're going to make friends your whole life. Like, you're going to, you know what I mean? As you grow, you're always going to make new friends as you grow and as you change. Like, your friends, you'll grow and make new friends, and some will fall off, some will continue, like, and it was just so funny because it's something so obvious. Like, clearly, obviously, I know that. But when someone just, there's just certain points in your life when someone says something to you and it clicks. And it just clicked. I'm like, yeah, why am I telling myself this story about how, like, I'll never make new friends? It goes along with that idea that a lot of, us young people have, like, okay, by the time we're 30, it's a wrap. Like, you already have all the things that you're supposed to have for the rest of your life. You're settled in that by 30 years old. And it's kind of really hindering us and hindering our growth because we really actually live by those rules. Like, I've been subconsciously living by the rule that, like, I'm already done. I've already passed the phase in my life of making friendships. That's crazy. And, like, literally, I'm changing. I'm not the same person that I was then. So, like, why wouldn't your relationships do that as well? Why wouldn't you gain more relationships that are more aligned with who you're becoming? Very silly mindset. So yeah, that was kind of like a little segue, but it was part of my realization. But like I said, you really have to learn to let go. And it's so crazy watching yourself change because literally everything is changing about me. What I like is changing. What I'm attracted to, I think that's when I really started noticing. I'm like, what I'm attracted to has changed. Like, even the type of man that and that's the part that really tripped me out. Like, the type of man that I'm attracted to has changed. Like, when I look at pictures of guys that I used to, not of the actual guy, but people who have similar vibes to the guys that I used to like, I'm like completely not attracted. Not even just like, oh, I'm not attracted because this person hurt me. Like, no, like I'm actually not attracted. Like the men that I find attractive are interested in different things. And, I'm more interested in who they are spiritually. I'm more interested in, how they contribute to a family. I'm more interested in what type of legacy they want to leave behind. Like, someone who, and this has always been a thing for me, but like, the people who are really into like, kind of like in my world. And let me stop calling it my world, because it's not. Again, I'm not who I used to be, but it's like that conditioning. It's still, the recorder still plays, but excuse me, in that world and realm of social media and like being really into social media, like I'm so unattracted to that now. Like, it's just so crazy to see myself develop and like, change in that way. Like, I'm just so, everything I used to like, I don't even like it anymore. In terms of like food, it's the same thing. I would say I've been transitioning in terms of like the way I eat for like the last like 4 years. Like 4 or 5 years, I started really eating pretty well and really changing the way I eat like 4 or 5 years ago when I started cooking all my food. But it's like intensified now. Like I'm always like, and not because I want to like lose weight or I'm trying to like be keto and, be summer body ready. Like just I naturally, as I changed and became this new person, I like really pay attention to what's going in my body. Actually read the back of, read the back of the packages. And, I pay attention to how much I'm eating. Like, it's just like a complete shift in who I am. And it just happens so fluidly, and I didn't even realize like, wow, you're so different. Like, you're not the same. Like, I'm not interested in the chase. Like, I'm no longer afraid. This is the biggest part. I am no longer afraid to lose things and people, which for me, someone who, suffered a lot of abandonment in their childhood, and a lot of abandonment by like people who are supposed to be there. You know what I mean? Like who we think are supposed to be there. And in all forms, not just one person, multiple people who are supposed to be there weren't there. And so letting go has always been very difficult for me, because letting go means they left. It used to be one and the same for me. Letting go means they left. Letting go means I'm losing something. And that was a trigger for me. And now there's so much, I feel so free because I'm not afraid of losing anything, because I can't lose what's mine. And it's one thing to say that, and we read all these quotes on Facebook. No one's on Facebook, but I still call them Facebook quotes. We read all these quotes, and, we think that like reading these quotes is really understanding what's going on, and it's not. It's when you actually go through the awakening, when you actually sit with your shit, sit in it, and you really realize, I'm like, wow, like, I can let go. Like, I can let go of things. I'm like, I'm no longer holding on to people's ankles and hoping that they don't leave, and just holding on to things that are no longer there, holding on to a memory, holding on to a false sense of loyalty, like just holding on to things that are clearly on their way out, are clearly being cleared out for a reason. And knowing how to let go, here's the most freeing part, knowing how to let go without malice. That's the part that's hard for me. So I do a few practices, which I do for myself, and it's important for me. I feel like, and I want to affirm someone who does this, because I know on social media, there's a lot of different opinions on this, but I'm a heavy believer in muting and blocking and you know what I mean, and those types of things for social media. But here's the reason why. Not because I'm upset, but because we cannot, first of all, we weren't built to be able to take in all of this information. And I can't wait till, more studies come out as years go on what the damage it's actually doing. We have way too much access to people and way too much access to information that we were never supposed to have this much access. It is not healthy. This is why everyone's literally crippling and dying under anxiety, because this is why anxiety is at an all-time high, because we have way too much access. And I need to be able to control what I see, especially if you're using social media as a work platform. A lot of us who work in the creative realm, we use social media for work purposes, and we do have to spend time on there. So in order to, you have to, and I don't even like saying like the protect your peace, because I think people take that and they abuse it and run with it. But it's not even about me protecting my peace, because it's not that I don't feel at peace with, seeing someone, but it's like if I am feeling a way, or I'm adjusting to a new relationship with someone, or I'm adjusting to the way I feel about something, or something's clearing out, I don't need to have a surprise encounter with it. That's the way I see it. I don't want to have a surprise encounter with it. It's one thing if the world is working as it worked, the universe and God is working, and you run into someone. I don't mind that. If I run into you, then I'm supposed to run into you. Like, you know what I mean? If I run into you, it's all good. But social media, that's different. That is completely different. So I do believe in, catering your social media to your needs. And I don't think it's offensive. And I had that conversation with one of my friends not too long ago, because, she was offended that someone had, someone she knew had muted her. And I was like, listen, it's not always as personal as we think. When you're readjusting your feelings for someone, or you're letting go of something, or you're going through a transition, you don't need to be surprised with and bombarded with all of that person's activities. You don't. That's not natural to us. That's not a natural healing and shedding and letting go process. That's not natural. So you should be able to be like, all right, like I'm going to put them on ice. And, when you do think about that person, and I'm the type of person, when I do think about that person, I want to engage, I will go seek out that engagement. So it's not beef, or it's not like, it's more so I'm readjusting to who I am and what is, what I need for me. And I don't want any surprises right now. I don't want any surprises. Once I'm adjusted and it doesn't affect me whatsoever, that's a different story. But I do believe in clearing out, and really like, what is the word I'm looking for? And really curating your social media to what is going to be best for your own mental health and sanity. So that is another form of letting go, and and just curating your social media. That's another way I had to learn to do that, and not apologizing for it. And also to like, and I've said this for a long time, like I don't watch stories. I don't watch anyone's stories. And it's not like an offense, and I don't mind if someone doesn't watch my story. It really is okay. But I don't watch stories because it's not necessary for me to know what someone's doing at every point every day. It's just not. Like, I don't like having all this information. I find that my relationships are more authentic because I don't watch stories, because when I do talk to you, you're actually catching me up on what's going on. Not I just been stalking you on social media and having this false sense of what's going on. And meanwhile, you're depressed, sad as hell all day. Like, you know what I mean? It's a false sense of like, I've literally had conversations with family members and they're like, oh, and I'm like, you didn't check in on me, like, and this is how it affected me. Like, oh, I saw you posted on Instagram. I thought you was good. I'm like, mind you, and that especially makes me upset knowing that it's a business for me. Like, I'm posting my work and you're thinking I'm good. Like, no, this is work. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, still check in on me even. So in order for me to not perpetuate that, in order for me to actually practice what I preach, I don't even get engaged in watching stories, because when I talk to you, I really want to know how you're doing, and I really want you to, share with me what you're comfortable sharing with me. Like, that's it. I don't want, you know what I mean? So I don't want social media to cloud, a relationship is all that I'm saying. So yeah, letting go of who I used to be, letting go of, false sense of loyalty and curating my social media, letting go of my old attraction habits, because I'm not attracted to none of the guys that I used to be attracted to. I'm like, this isn't even like, you know what I mean? It's not even enough for me to you just tell me you believe in God. Like, I need to know you have a relationship. And I'm not talking about religion. I'm not talking about any of that. I need to know you have a legit relationship with God. Like, I'm not playing games. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? Like, I'm really not with the foolery any longer. So it's like so weird to see myself. I'm like, wow, like I'm not even attracted. Like, I'm looking at these people, I'm like, I'm not even attracted anymore. Like, it's like it's a spirit thing. Like, there's just certain spirits that I'm not really jacking y'all like that no more. I'm so sorry. I still think you guys are beautiful. And that's the thing about me too that makes it difficult, is that like, a lot of people don't understand. I look at people in the lens of like, art still. Like, you know what I mean? So I'm like, there are people I'm like, wow, he is beautiful. Like, you know what I mean? Like facial structures, bone structures, he's stunning. That doesn't mean I'm attracted. You know what I mean? I just think you're beautiful. If I'm telling you you're beautiful and you're stunning, I'm probably not attracted to you. Like, I don't tell guys that I'm actually attracted to, that I want to pursue something with, like, oh, you're stunning. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I know that sounds weird. Even if they are stunning, I'm like, it's more of like a, you know, like, you're handsome. Like, I like you. Like, I'm very, like, the thing about me, and I always tell guys this, and I mean, I tell not even guys, I tell myself this because I need to hear it. And because for a long time, I would try to convince myself I like certain people. And I'm like, if I like someone, it is crystal clear. Because unfortunately, for me, I will say it. Like, I'll just say it. That's the thing about me. Like, then, like, you know, I'm so honest to a fault that, like, if I like you and we're, like, chilling, I'm probably going to end up just being like, yeah, I like you. Like, you know, I'll say, like, if I like you, you'll know. You'll know by the way I'm looking at you. You'll know by the way I'm talking to you. You're going to know because I'm going to flat out tell you. Like, you know, but if I'm looking at you like art, like, it's just different the way I'm communicating. Like, I'm communicating it like your art, which is, you know, just as much of a compliment. But it's like, I'm like, wow, you look stunning. Like, your face, like the sun, like, you look really stunning. Like, you know what I mean? But it's not like, you know, but it's not like I like you. Like, you know, it's more like, wow, you look like art. So, sorry, guys. If I done told you that you thought I liked you, I don't. So yeah, in the way, letting go. So another thing is letting go of people pleasing. Woo! If you know me, you know this one was hard for me. This one was hard for me, doing things because I want people to be happy instead of doing things because it makes me happy. I mean, I don't want to say it is still hard for me. It's something I'm still battling every single day. I do relapse, you know, so I'm affirming someone, you know, who's experiencing this. I definitely relapse. I definitely fall back and, you know, just fall back into my old tendencies sometimes, but it's like a day-to-day thing. Like, I treat these things as if, like, it's an addiction. Like, I'm in rehab. Like, you know, like, it's really day-to-day. Like, you know, like, I have to hour by hour sometimes. Like, I have to, like, really cheer for myself and clap for myself and tell myself in the mirror, like, you know, like, give myself grace. Oh, you can't see Grace today, but grace. Give myself grace because it's hard. It's very hard to stop doing something you've been doing your whole life. So that has been a big one for me, is to stop people pleasing. If I don't want to pick up my phone, I'm not picking up my phone. And for some people, like, you know, you have to know your makeup. You have to know, like, what your things are. And that's, for me, I was never like that. Like, if someone I care about wants to talk to me, I was always willing and ready to talk. So if you're the opposite, then you may need to do the opposite. But for me, I need to learn to, like, well, no, I don't want to talk. I don't want to talk about this and I don't want to talk, and being okay with communicating that. Like, you know, that is a part of letting go. It's hard. It's scary because then you're like, dang, am I going to lose everybody that I've ever cared about because I become this, like, you know, my people pleasing mind is like, you become this self-serving person, and it's not. It's like, I'm just honoring myself for the first time in my life. But, you know, those things, those questions pop in my head. And I would say the last one for me is, if you cannot reciprocate, and I heard this in a sermon, so I'm not going to cap and pretend this is my line, although I wish I did because it's good. But if you cannot reciprocate, you have to vacate.
Because I know who I am, and I know what I'm worth, and I know what value I bring to your life. I know your life get leveled up when I'm in it. I know when I'm all in, I'm all in. I know when I'm with you, I'm with you. And if you can't reciprocate, you got to vacate.
Thank you, Pastor Darius. If you cannot reciprocate, you have to vacate. I felt the spirit on that one. I literally, when I heard that in a sermon, I was on this couch right here and I fell out, did a whole, you know, it was a whole thing. I done fell out on this couch. He said, if you cannot reciprocate, you have to vacate. That is a big one. Like, if you can't reciprocate. Like if you're not, and this is what I had to realize. I had a lot of people in my life who didn't, I don't think they, and not purposefully, I think this was a part because I didn't do it, but they didn't value, I don't think that they valued the person that I was and the love that I had to give. I think that they took it for granted. You know, I think a lot of people in my life, because I gave it so freely without conditions, I never had conditions on my love or on my openness, or I never had any boundaries on it, if I'm being honest. So I gave it so freely. I was so open. Like if I loved you, I talked to you. I was vulnerable with you. Like I shared my ideas, my creativity, like my, the things I was struggling with. I was just so open. And I think a lot of people took that for granted in my life. And I don't think they did it intentionally. I think they did it because I didn't value it. So how can they value it if I didn't value it? So a lot of people, I feel like, took that for granted. But now I'm reeling that back in. If you cannot reciprocate, then you have to vacate. You can't get out of me what you can't give me. You can't get that out of me. If you can't give me emotion and rawness and realness and vulnerability, you cannot get emotion and rawness and realness and vulnerability from me. That's it. I learned how to put people in their respective boxes in my life. And it's like, it really is no smoke. Like I still love everyone very equally, but I have too much to give, and there's too much beauty inside of me, and there's too much purpose and favor, and God is so present in my life that I can't just be careless with who I'm sharing myself with. I can't just be open to whoever, and whoever can just choose to throw me away whenever it's convenient for them. I'm no longer accepting that. If you can't see it, if you cannot reciprocate it, you really have to go. Like you really, really have to go. And best believe, like I know you're going to think about it one day, because I know that I'm one of a kind. I know, and not just because, oh, I'm creative and I'm pretty, no, but because of the love that I give, I know that it is one of a kind. So if someone cannot see that, and I'm talking about all types of relationships, they got to go. And if they're willing to, if they're willing to just throw that away, they have to go. They have to go. It's okay. Like it really is no smoke. Like whatever level, I'm not going to stoop down to your level, but we can operate at whatever level is best and comfortable for both of us. And that's okay. And learning how to move on and let it go. That's the thing. Once you make that decision, you have to let it go. That's the hard part. Like you have to let it go. And letting all of this go, it was really scary because, like I said, I woke up and I'm no longer who I was, and I was alone. I'm like, ain't nobody here. It's just me in this apartment. Ain't nobody here. There's nobody here. I'm like, and I've changed all these relationships. I've let go of all these things. I stopped putting in, into people who weren't putting into me. I stopped pouring. And I realized my cup was empty. I'm like, it's just me. So it's scary. It is scary when you have that moment. It's scary when you have that realization. It's scary when you wake up and you're not who you were and you don't connect with the people who you used to connect with. It is scary. It's scary not having anybody who, you feel like you can have these types of conversations with and they actually understand you. That is terrifying. And what do? You talk to God. You have to talk to God, and you have to be open and understand that this is a journey. And now that you've shed this layer, you were a caterpillar and you become a butterfly. Now that you've shed this layer, it's like starting over again. So you have to, eventually you're going to have to come out of that isolation. You're going to have to present the new you, and then the people who are meant to be in your life and the new people you are meant to attract will follow suit. But don't panic when you wake up and you're not who you used to be. It is a beautiful thing. Continue the fight. It's hard. I've been like feeling like I've been going through so many emotional and mental battles that I literally wake up tired and I need a nap before 2:00 every single day. And I just started taking those naps, and they've been really helping me. And I'm only taking like 15 to 30 minute naps. Like this morning I had a whole it was just a hard morning. Like nothing happened. I did my normal routine. I always take a walk in the morning. I always sit in the sun and pray. I did my normal routine, but it wasn't hitting. Like it wasn't like the joy of the morning and the new day was not hitting me. I felt, the voices in my head of inadequacy was playing, and why didn't it happen for me, and why am I not doing this, and why am I not here? It was just heavy on me this morning. And you know what? And I was like, I'm not even gonna record today. I'm not even gonna do a video. I don't feel like doing a look. I don't feel like putting on makeup. I don't feel like wearing lashes. And I took a nap. So that's another thing you do when you wake up and you're not the same person you used to be. Take a nap. I took a nap, and it was a 30-minute nap, and I woke up and I was able to get myself up again. So take a nap when that happens. Sleep, because it's exhausting. Your soul is literally your soul and your spirit is doing so much work during a spiritual awakening. I don't think we realize how tired we are. I'm exhausted. I've been exhausted throughout this whole awakening. For the last 8 months, I've been exhausted. I'm tired. I'm exhausted, and I'm not physically doing things like, I start getting ready for bed at 10 o'clock. Sometimes I don't go to bed till 12, but I'm getting ready for bed, meaning like I've already brushed my teeth, headscarf on, everything at 10 o'clock. You know what I mean? There's no reason for me to be as exhausted, but I'm doing so much mental, spiritual, and emotional work. I'm tired. So you got to go to sleep. You have to go to sleep. That's another thing. You have to get some rest when that happens. And you have to understand that there's no way that God brought you this far to leave you. And you didn't just lose everybody and you're just about to be by yourself, assed out. Like, no, the new you is going to attract your new tribe. And it might take a while. And I think one of the hardest pills for me to swallow this week is my isolation season isn't over. And I'm ready to come out of it, but I don't think it's over yet. I think I still have a couple of more, I don't know if it's weeks. I don't know. I still feel like I just have a couple of, I'm like right at end, but it's not over. And I feel like I'm fighting to keep going and make it to the finish line. So I wanted to share that with you guys and affirm you that, if you're going through this, you're not alone. And I can't wait till the videos where I'm like completely out of my isolation. I'm back in the real world. I'm meeting new people. And if you guys see that I have like energy and life and like still joy now, wait till you guys see me when I'm actually out of my isolation. This is just me after my nap. And I had to pick myself up after my nap and watching some episodes of Catfish, because girl, I love Catfish. But so yeah, that is what I wanted to talk to you guys about today. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And the beauty in letting it go is, come on, guys, it's cliche. The beauty in letting it go is when you let it go, you leave room for new things to come. That's the beauty in it. There are new things right around the corner. And I'm saying this because it's therapy for me, so I can actually believe it, because I need to hear it. So because when I'm letting all of this stuff go, the past me, the past trauma, the being a misfit, the not fitting in, not being where I want to be, the past people that I used to be attracted to, past friendships, all of that stuff, the past abandonment, I'm letting all of that go to open the room for a new me, to write myself a new story. There's a new Tai emerging out of this. I'm going to have a new story to tell. I'm going to have a new default setting that's not defensive and people pleasing and, emotionally unaware and emotionally immature. The new Tai, my new default setting is going to be joy, and it's going to be happiness. It's going to be back to who I was in my mother's womb, my nurturing, spirit, the person that God intended me to be. So thank you guys so much for tuning in this week, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.